I'm Roberta Dowling, and we're making a red pepper puree. And what I have in the bowl here is some roasted red peppers, which I grilled on top of a gas stove. I had some pretty long tongs because you want to be careful not to burn yourself. And once they're all charred and have a nice black coating, but not burnt, although they're going to look a little burnt to you, you put them in a stainless steel bowl. You could use a brown paper bag as well and wrap that up tightly. When the steam disappears from the bowl, then you know your peppers are ready to be peeled, and you can see that this is pretty clear. So I'm going to take a pepper out, and I'm going to cut it in half. I'm trying to go down a seam. And with that, I'm going to remove the seeds, and you can either cut that out and set it aside, and then you take a cloth that has a little bit of a rough texture to it and just rub the char off until most of the char is gone. Every once in a while you want to clean your board. And you turn your cloth so that the char is now underneath the cloth. And you can see that you have a very beautiful charred roasted pepper here. I'm going to clean the rest of the peppers in exactly the same way. And they'll be ready to go into a food processor to be pureed. I have all of my peppers cleaned. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them into the food processor to puree them. And you can see we've removed all the seeds and char and cut them up in pieces. It doesn't have to be very precise. Just throw them in there and we'll puree. And we will use that puree for a red pepper pasta. I'm adding a little bit of water to the puree so it becomes a little bit looser. And we have a red pepper puree. Now I'm going to proceed to make my red pepper pasta. And I'm going to turn my flour out on top of the board. And I'm going to make a well. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to my flour. We usually use kosher salt because it's pure. And I'm going to put my red pepper puree right into the center of my well. I'm going to do something a little bit different in that I am not going to use a whole egg in my pasta. And the reason being is that obviously there's a yolk, and when you put yellow with red, you might get an orange, and I'm looking for a really deep, intense red color. So I'm going to separate my eggs. So I have my 4 egg whites here, and I'm going to put them into my well. And as they come in, I'm going to slowly mix them in with the pepper puree before I start to break the walls down of the flour. And then I'm going to, once I have all the egg white in there, I'm going to work my flour walls into the well until it becomes nicely amalgamated. Now you can start to use your bench press to kind of work the flour into the pepper puree. And pretty soon I'm going to knead this as soon as I get it a little bit more amalgamated. It's very moist. That's okay, because we can always add more flour. to open this up and take these dried particles and put them in there. Almost like you were making a sandwich. Here we go. Now, I'll knead this to becomes very, very smooth. I've been kneading this red pepper pasta for a good 10 minutes, and it's a lovely color. You can now let this rest as you would any ordinary pasta. Wrap it in plastic wrap. That's the way I like to do it. If you wanted it a little deeper, you could add a little bit of natural red food coloring, which sometimes I frequently do, especially if I'm doing something for Christmas and I want a redder color for a specific ravioli. Then I will put a teeny bit of food coloring in it. You don't need much, and it does the trick. But this pasta, this red pepper pasta, can be used for fettuccine or tagliatelle or really anything you want. And it has a lovely, lovely mellow peppery taste, and you pair it with something would look fantastic like green peas. So I'm going to let it rest, put it aside, and we'll think about what we could possibly do with this. We could maybe even make some guitarra.